Hey Big Lap Bible, my name's Indy and I'm Indy P. This is my 2012 troop carrier named Zeus, and I have had him almost 2 years now and have built him from scratch. I describe myself as a part-time traveller, semi-retired. When I left Queensland over a year ago, the plan was to spend the next 4 to 5 years slowly travelling around Australia, so there's no rush, and I like to move to a state for say 6 to 8 months. At the moment I'm definitely following the summer and the sun and the heat, and then from there I just like to explore the area and really get a feel for each state and get to experience it for what it was. I'm a registered nurse, and for the first 2 years of my career I worked in oncology and palliative care wards, and unfortunately I saw a lot of lives get cut short and they never got to fulfill doing their big lap or being able to get to travel and have their bodies allow them to do this for them. So in September of 2020, not long after I had bought the Troopy, I decided I wanted to explore the country and really make the most of my body and being able to do what I could do when I can. So I basically packed up my life, sold everything I owned at home in the Gold Coast. I've got 2 boxes of clothes left at mum and dad's, which are all winter clothes, and which I clearly don't need, and from there I decided to spend the next 4 to 5 years travelling slowly around Australia. Loop down, up through the middle, and then loop back around. I left Queensland in March last year, so just over a year ago now. I moved to Victoria as the roof was getting converted down there. The plan was only to be there for about 4 months, however with COVID and lockdowns I ended up being there for 6 months. I was living along the Great Ocean Road, but just unfortunately didn't get to see as much as I would hope due to COVID and lockdowns. From there I moved to South Australia for about 7 months, where I was based on the Eyre Peninsula over the summer and then up on the Murray region as well, so I got to basically tick my whole bucket list off very, very quickly. The plan from here is to stay in the Northern Territory for the winter and for the busy tourist season before heading west down through WA and then back across down to Tassie for the summer next year, is the plan. Obviously this is my setup as I explained. When I bought Zeus he was completely stock standard. He had 8 seats in the back, so I completely gutted it. There's also a YouTube video series of when I built it. I haven't added to much in a while as it's completely changed since then. So I did 3 setups by myself, and the last one I did pay someone to set it up for me. Apart from that, it's been awesome. I have a water tank underneath. I have 60 litres of water tank. I obviously have this beautiful awning. I have a pop-top conversion, which is the Expedition Centre Mulgo. And yeah, all the rest of the details are on my Instagram as well, and if you want to know anything else about my car or my setup, you can always just pop me a message. As a solo female traveller, obviously the biggest thing for me is safety. For my parents as well, safety is a huge concern. Not always, but so whenever I am travelling, usually I like to do 4 weeks on, 4 weeks off travelling. Usually my snap maps are on and mum can stalk me, and I try and call them every day if I have reception. So for me, it's a mix between caravan parks and free camps. Obviously in national parks, if I try and stay in them, I'll make sure there are other campers or at least somebody else around. Free camps are the exact same. I would say I try to stay in a caravan park once or twice every week, or sometimes a little bit more frequently than that, depending on where I am passing through. Through South Australia, I very rarely paid for caravan parks. There's just so much free camping that's beautiful down there, so I never really had any concerns through camping down there. Obviously coming through the Northern Territory, you just have to be a little bit more mindful, and so I did stay in a few more caravan parks, making my way back up to Darwin. The best place I have ever been is probably a catch. I've got 2 favourite spots that I have visited. One would be the Uluru National Park and the West Macdonald Ranges. That whole loop, I think I spent about a week and a half going through there, and it was one of the most special experiences ever. I'd waited a long time to make it to Uluru. I remember hearing about it all those many years ago in school, and it was just such a special place, and we were very fortunate to be able to have access to it and enjoy it. Along with that loop was obviously the West Macdonald Ranges. That place was, that whole area is just beautiful through there. The other place that sort of has my heart a little bit is down on the Eyre Peninsula, down in Coffin Bay National Park. There's a couple of spots in there, and then along the whole coastline there. I don't think I could even pick it, but definitely the Eyre Peninsula has just been one of my favourite spots I have ever stayed and ever got to explore as well. But I didn't tell you that because it's a bit of a hidden gem down there, so I'll try and keep that one a little bit quiet. My next favourite place I'm really excited to go and see is the West Coast. I am obviously loving being up here in Darwin. I'm not far away from Kakadu and Litchfield, so I'm really excited to get out to see those ones as well. But my next sort of top few spots is the Arnhem Land. That one I'm really quite excited to go and explore while I'm in the Northern Territory, and then obviously next is WA. I haven't done enough research about it because I don't like to look too far ahead, but definitely WA is hot on that list to go and see, up through Broome, all those cable beaches, everywhere like that. I heard, and Esperance, I've just heard it's just incredible. So they're probably my next couple, but while I'm in the Northern Territory, Litchfield National Park, the Arnhem Land and Tiwi Islands as well. I can. My first day of my contract, I usually obviously go to work and you get orientated to the hospital and things, and I count this as being on the road because this is what my life is. I base myself somewhere. I have a contract with a hospital, and I was based at a hospital, and the first day usually, I like to go for a walk and get outside and go check out the town. And my first day in this brand new town that I was meant to be living in for 4 weeks, I absolutely stacked it down the main street and just tumbled down the road. I'd grab a rash over both my arms, and I was wearing shorts, so down both of my legs. And I had to go into work next day limping a little bit, trying to explain why I had grazes and rashes all down my arms. And I remember just being like, oh, this is the start of the next 4 weeks, isn't it? Like, if this explains how my first day in this town goes. But apart from that, I just have some funny times all round. Like, I'm constantly laughing. I've constantly got a smile on my face. It's very rare that you wouldn't see me giggling about something. I won't tell you about my scariest experience because I don't want to put a tarnish on the town, but there's definitely a town that I've recently travelled through, stayed at a caravan park, and yeah, definitely would not recommend staying there. I did not feel safe, and I had not had that before. My fridge. I have an 80 litre Bushman's upright fridge. Without that, no deal. And my induction cooker as well, because that bad boy, amazing. Absolutely incredible. Well, now that I say that, there's a few things, isn't there? I don't want to start the list. But no, I'd say my fridge. Is it my fridge? You know what? I'm just going to say my troopy, because everything in my troopy, I can't live without it. It's an item, isn't it? Does that count as an item? So obviously, as I said, I'm funding my big lap by working as I go. So obviously, as an agency nurse, I'm able to contact my agency, say I want to base myself in an area for 4, 6, 8, 12 weeks. They contact the local hospital, they ask them what they have available, and from there we go through negotiations, if I want time off, my rates, my hours, etc, etc. So it can go through all of that, and that's how I sort of fund it. So I decided to do it that way rather than just spending a year. I didn't want to rush it. I wanted to take my time and really get to explore it. Obviously with this, now the world's all clearing up, but pre this, COVID was a bit scary and I didn't want to travel overseas. So something that I know now before I left was that you can take your time and you can do things for you, and you can meet up with people, but you also don't have to follow their plans as well. Obviously there's lots of people on the road at the moment and there is so much to see. Australia is a huge country and it is one of the most special places, and we are so lucky to live in a country like we do. Obviously taking away everything, I think I have definitely learnt more than anything to slow down our society is in such a rat race society. You're always chasing something bigger, something better, and sometimes it's nice just to take a step back and really appreciate what we have, and being able to explore Australia and being able to work and just being able to live a life. I say I'm living a life, I really do, and I think that's something that I have had to learn to appreciate as well, and I don't think I would have understood that unless I did do this for me as Oh, and also the one thing I definitely didn't know is learn how to be okay by yourself. Obviously I'm traveling by myself, and I'm just as okay traveling with people as I am by myself, and I'm very comfortable having time to fill in and all that sort of thing. I think that's another thing as well. My favourite thing about traveling, where do I start? I want to say experiencing new places and seeing what Australia has to offer, but I also want to say the people that you meet and the places you stay, the people you run into. I don't even know. I definitely think it's seeing, like, it's just exploring, getting to see, living outdoors all the time, getting out of the rat race, getting out of what everyone tells you have to do, and just taking a step back. And I think that's been my favourite thing, is just learning to be okay. And my favourite thing about travelling is just, you just learn to fall in love with life all over again. You have a whole new appreciation for things and the simplicity of what you need. Everything I own fits in my car. I don't need more than that. I often cull clothes once a month or once every couple of weeks if something goes out. If I buy something else has to go. So I think you just learn to live such a simplistic, basic, it's nothing, it's just such an easy lifestyle, and I think that's been my favourite thing. And obviously getting to explore some of the places I've seen in the past year and a half have been some of the best places. I think I just don't think you can top them. It doesn't get much better than this. When I first left, I was budgeting about $500 to $600 a week, sometimes even less as well. I'm not a big drinker, and obviously if I want to splurge on an experience, I will as well. But unfortunately, with the rate and cost of fuel at the moment, my budget has been blown completely. I am spending closer to $600 a week, and that's purely, in the last 4 weeks, that was purely because of fuel costs. It was about $2. I think the most expensive fuel that I bought was $2.80, and that was in Kings Canyon or Curtin Springs. That was $2.80, and it was so the biggest expense now has been fuel. So I'm currently probably, when I'm based somewhere, obviously I don't spend as much, but when I'm on the road full time, I'm spending closer to, I think it was about $600 to $700 a week for the last 4 weeks that I was traveling before I set up here in Darwin. My biggest splurge, the rooftop conversion. It was about $16,000 in total with the awning, brackets and the engineering. Was it worth it? Yeah, it was. I want to say no, but it 100% was. It obviously is quite an investment, but for the sake of safety, comfort, extra space, usability, the easiness, just the not having to set up a bed every night, not having to get hot, it's there. I pop the roof, it can take me 30 seconds to get ready for bed. The roof's up, bed's down, I'm in bed asleep. It's just so easy. Huge big splurge. Worth it. 100% worth it. Yeah, I don't know what I would do if I didn't have it, to be honest. My GoPro. I bought a GoPro 9 last year it was my 24th birthday present to myself, and I really haven't used it as much. I try to take it on hikes, or if I go swimming, I'll make sure I take it with me, but I really just haven't used it as much as I thought I would, which is okay, I suppose. But yeah, that's probably one thing. I think once I hit WA it might be a little bit different because there's a bit more of a water environment over there on the coast, but yeah, definitely haven't used that one as much as I thought I would. So obviously when I moved to Victoria, I was getting the roof converted and the back was getting built out. I was living with some family down there on the Great Ocean Road in a beautiful little town called Anglesey, and I was only meant to be there. I moved down in March. I was planning to leave in May or June because I didn't want to have to go through a Victorian winter. But obviously with lockdowns and things like that, I was there till September. It didn't make much of a difference regardless. I had an absolute blast. It was one of those, it just was the inevitable. Every time I'd plan a trip, I did get a job down there, but every time I'd plan a trip, we'd go into lockdown. Being in regional, we had a little bit more flexibility, but you were still in lockdown. You couldn't go anywhere. So everything was shut. No caravan parks were open. No tourist places were open. It was very much, yeah, it was a bit brutal. And I've had 3 different isolation periods myself, and I never want to isolate again. I had one for COVID, which was 10 days, which is in South Australia. I had one for 2 weeks when I moved to South Australia, and I've had another one when I came back from New South Wales. That was at the peak of COVID, and I got caught being in a red zone, so I had to isolate. So I've had 3 lots of isolations. I think it's in total 40 days, and I'm never doing it again. Ever. Biggest tip to other big lappers. My biggest tip would just be to enjoy yourself. Take your time, appreciate things. Obviously have what you want to see, and make sure it's clear what you want to see and what you want to do, and yeah, don't hold back on taking those chances and taking those experiences that you wouldn't think you would otherwise. You know, you're seeing things that some people only wish they could see in their lifetime, and sometimes those people don't get to do that. So if you're able-bodied, if you're able to do those things, go out and do them. Spend more time outside, spend time getting to see different places, you know, just doing different things and being able to appreciate Australia, because I think more and more people are realizing how bloody lucky we are to live here, and how incredible, like what an incredible country we live in. I think that's something that, yeah, but definitely just take your time to appreciate things. Slow down. Don't overthink and don't overbuy. Don't think you need every gimmick in the caravan store, because trust me, you probably won't. I love these jerry cans. Never use them. Makes the back too heavy. Weighs me down too much. So it's it's one of those things. I think you need to appreciate the life that you are living. You are living somebody's dream, and doing a big lap for some people is something that they only wish they could do. So, and you're doing it. You're getting out there and you're doing it. And I think just appreciating it all. Appreciating your body, appreciating your health, and say hello to people. Don't be shy. If you see the troopy on the road, come and talk to me. I'm always up for a chat, especially if I'm by myself. I'm more than happy to have a conversation, and yeah, go and speak to people. Be open-minded about experiences, people, humans, and honestly, fall in love with your life again, because I think that's something that a lot of people don't do. And I like to base myself in a state. As a registered nurse, I got to experience, as a registered, I left Queensland in March last year, so just over a year.